And this is Talking Sense with. Hello and welcome, Vijay Srinivasan. This is Talking Sense with Srini. We're discussing Donald Trump's actions amid his sweeping tariffs, not just in India but across the world. India has been slapped with a whopping 27% there. What are the ramifications on the Indian economy? And joining me to discuss more is our editor in chief, Mr. Srinivasan. So thank you very much. And he joins us from national capital this time. How is Delhi, sir?
Yeah, very fine weather here, but then things are heating up as you have seen Trump throwing a big bombshell news from
That's right.
Washington. So obviously, bureaucrats here are all trying to figure out how to deal with this. But business class community here is also trying to find out whether they can see a positive thing out of this. Whether what are the ways of extricating, kind of getting themselves out of this funny situation. No, the tight situation. I won't say funny, a tight situation they got in.
What do
See,
you think could
India's
be
yeah.
That's right. Yeah. What do you think could be the immediate impact on India? Because the Indian government has said, look, this is more of a mixed bag kind of scenario. It's really not a setback. Would you agree with this assessment of the government?
See, one thing about the Indian government vis-a-vis United States, it has taken a certain line while dealing with the US. It's,
That's right.
even you saw the other things also happening in the past, whether it's deportation or it's visa issues. They've been kind of playing it down. They are still perhaps looking for a possibility where they could strike a deal with the US. But this time, what Trump seems to have done is he has thrown everybody into a tailspin by doing an across 10% on all countries. So even if there was a country which is zero tariff, now it will be 10%. And then on the top of it, you have other tariffs. So the Indian tariff is now going to be about 26%. So this is really thrown everybody off the rails. Indian government is obviously constantly looking out if they can strike some kind of a deal, and the
Mhm.
expectation is whether the door is still open for a deal. After all, this is an administrative decision taken by Trump, but it seems that all those expectations that there could be something they could work out seems to be now vanishing because he is kind of taken the whole world by surprise, not one or two countries or one
That's right.
continent or the other, each and every segment. He hasn't left out anything. So that has really unsettled, everything all over the world. And you would have, seen the reactions. See, Trump, everybody knew, is completely unpredictable. But then they were trying to find a pattern even out of this unpredictability. So one thing they thought was that, look, end of the day, it could be a threatening gesture. He could be just talking big, and end of the day, maybe probably he'll come around to a deal making. And so this could be one a kind of a move, a strategic move that you disturb the whole thing, you kind of dislodge everyone, and then finally start striking deals at your terms. US still is a very powerful country, and it can try out these kind of things. That's one possibility. The second thing is, it was expected that end of the day, Trump would always look up to stock markets. He'll never do something which will reduce the wealth of individuals, and the stock market is a big thing for him. But the markets, as of now, have given a thumbs down. But we'll have to watch and see how it reacts tomorrow, because how they absorb this news and see reactions from all over the world. But as of now, things do seem to be going downhill.
That's right. As you rightly said, the scenario remains quite precarious there as far as Trump is concerned. But economists around the world are also expressing significant concerns on this, with some even describing this, the tariff war as some kind of a nuclear bomb on the global economy. I mean, would you agree with this comparison?
Yeah, it's a very unusual situation. You can do many comparisons. Of course, one I too read this, that it's a kind of a nuclear bomb thrown onto the
That's right.
entire trade aspect. See, what we need to keep here in mind is that post war, post World War, Second World War, a new order came up
Mhm.
in the finances, and various new institutions were formed. One of them was also to have a rule-based trade all over the globe, and that's where you have lots of things like WTO came up. You have negotiations that happened at various levels. GATT negotiations happened. Countries started working together. More multilateral institutions were formed. More multilateral cooperation began to take place among countries. So there was a kind of attempt at rebuilding in the sense that the country should come together and shore up their economies. This was important post-war. So that's a kind of thing which has been happening for all these decades. He seemed to completely unsettle all of them, thrown everything to the winds, and gone back to a situation which is very unprecedented. If you were to read some of the European newspapers, they are suggesting that this is something like what happened perhaps in the 17th century.
Mm-hmm.
Never such a decision was anticipated or taken. Something which is really take America back to back to some strange situation. And while saying that, they also point out this "Make America Great Again." This kind of slogan, which actually has created a protectionist wall around the United States. Is it trying to be more insular, turning inwards? Is that the attempt? And like all politicians nowadays, actually enjoy looking through their uh, side mirror, which is actually the rear view, is what they're all telling the people. Look how great we were in the past, and we want to make that country great again. So America is no exception. Even other countries, even our own country, that we have been constantly reminded of the glorious past, the culture, the Sone ki Chidiya notion of India, which is true. India used to be a Sone ki Chidiya, and it was stripped of its wealth by Britishers. That is true. But then, America says that, long, long ago we were very rich, very this thing, and then we have been stripped of. Globalization has actually had so many deals. He says other countries are not to be blamed. They are all very smart. He says Japanese people are very smart. Vietnamese are very smart. Even Indians are very smart. But it's the political class of US which has let them down. And he says, and they have helped ripping off America. So people have been, pointing out constantly that, look, this is completely not true. Globalization has, in fact, helped America in a great way. The country itself has grown in unprecedented manner. That's what everybody is saying. And to compare the economy of those years, which is today, is completely, off the mark. This is what they're all pointing out and saying that, look, this is completely a false notion, and he's building some kind of a narrative which he is very good at. And this all seems to be more directed to get the domestic, audience in. I mean, they're playing more domestic politics. That's what they're all saying.
Trump's protectionist policies are no surprise, certainly. But do you think that US is risking its strategic partnership? Because what you see is very traditional allies like Germany, Japan, and South Korea being attacked because of Trump's tariff war there. So don't you see this?
Yeah, it's
Potential
true.
for
So,
drawback.
so let us take some examples that, if Vietnamese or those in the South China Sea,
Hmm.
who are all kind of, aligned with the US against China, those countries, how they will, even, the world's biggest chip manufacturer, if you have to consider them, that is, you know, uh, you have this, uh, that's again a country which wants to come close to US. If you suddenly, I mean Taiwan, if these
Hmm.
countries want to, they have been partners of US, they've been supplying these chips, they've been working very closely. If you have to impose huge tariffs on them, won't they look for some other partners? Won't you blame? You can't blame some of these people, moving more towards China. Why not strike a deal with China? Vietnam might think, other countries might think, why not have a better relationship with them? So the possibility here is that countries which have been trading with the US possibly may start trading with each other rather than with the United States. That's another possibility. Europe might think that why not we look for new markets. All the global companies, I was reading somewhere, they would think that let's look at countries which are 10% tariff. Why not go? Maybe some African countries, because if they really want to get into manufacturing, maybe they'll relocate their factories, or rather than what America thinks that the entire manufacturing industry will come rushing back into US. So they are saying there are various other ways in which the world might think and may not exactly think the way US is trying to do this.
Okay, so I think while Trump believes his tariff threats could actually pave the way for a better American life, so sort of a self-reliant America, manufacturing jobs back in the United States. I mean, there are also reports indicating the United States could actually fall into recession there. I mean, domestically, what's your perspective? Do you see any merits in this approach for the welfare of America?
See, the traditional, the economist, they all saying it's the biggest disaster anybody could have invented.
Hmm.
Economists are completely aghast. They didn't expect this level of tariff he would impose all across the world. They didn't
Hmm.
anticipate this. So they're all saying it's completely a bad move. This is what the economists have been saying since yesterday morning. I mean, this morning. So nobody has actually given a thumbs up. They're all
Hmm.
saying thumbs down to this kind of move. So in that sense, nobody seemed to be kind of favoring what he is doing. You see, domestically, if you see already the inflation is going up, so they expect that it might go up from 2% to 4%. So one thing which will immediately hit is inflation. The second thing they are saying that once the prices go up, there could be a very very good possibility of recession setting in, and they are
Okay,
saying that the President Trump, rather than making India great again, may have brought
making
in.
America great again.
Yeah, so that's what they're all saying. So he might have imported a recession
Hmm.
with his own will. So that's a big worry. Uh, but one has to wait and see what happens after this, because uh, Trump could also be whether he'll be rethinking on some of these decisions. After all, end of the day, he's a businessman. He enjoys striking deals. He enjoys doing things on his terms. So, has he taken on the entire world to push them around, push all the other countries to a situation where they start agreeing to United States in the matters of trade the way they want, rather than going for a multilateral forum where people can sit in around a round table and talk to each other on more equal terms. Is he now trying to drive a bargain on his terms? That's what it looks like.
That's okay. So one last question there, sir. United States is one of India's largest trading partner there, and India too has set ambitious targets. The short-term goal is to become the third largest economy after United States, China, and the long-term goal is to be the Viksit Bharat as Prime Minister envisioned, right, in 2047 of becoming a high-income economy there. Do you see these targets sort of getting delayed because of the tariff that's coming in?
Yeah, it's a very fair question. But let's look at this way. What is India's share in global exports? It's
Hmm.
1.8%. So India is not a country which is hugely dependent on export. It's not an export-led economy.
That's
Though
very
we
true.
have been trying to revive manufacturing and then saying that it should go up from the levels of 15% to 25%, and that's been ambition. Obviously, when you export, you get a lot more foreign exchange, and which is very much required for buying, equipments, importing equipments, and essentials which we badly need in strategic industries. So you do need exports. But India has traditionally not been an export-led economy. Since the 1991 reforms, we've been largely economists have been trying to figure out what kind of economy we are. We are actually quite a bit based on the domestic economy, the growth of domestic economy. But of course, it's a interconnected world. Lots of things, now you see are getting imported from all over the world. So it certainly will have an impact. The estimates are that our entire this because of this Indo-US trade, the setback, it could set back the entire GDP by about 0.7%. I mean, that's a big setback for a country which is trying to grow. It's obviously not a very good situation. Uh, so obviously there would be attempts made by India to find new markets or new ways of trying to mitigate, because after all, the share of 2.4% overall share, whether we can do. But one thing about India is within this 2.4% overall share of uh, we have very high service exports. That will continue.
That's right. Yeah.
That's one bright spot as far as India is concerned. And the other thing which is being done is that, look, if it is like this, in things where we have received a 26% tariff, our neighbors like Vietnam, China, Bangladesh, uh, you know, they have actually been slapped with much higher tariff.
Tariffs,
So
yeah.
net, we have actually a benefit there. So there are also expectation that we should quickly find ways where we become more competitive than these countries. So it could be that my neighbor is getting poorer, but maybe I'll get some advantage out of that.
Hmm.
Even that could be one possibility. Um the other thing is that looking out for new markets and making the economy see you know newer fields and newer areas. But yeah, obviously it is going to have a serious impact on the sentiments. The stock markets normally react very quickly to those things, and one has to wait and see how these things pan out. But I certainly feel that it'll have a major impact on the Indian economy, and this whole
Hmm.
target of being third largest. But the other thing is, it's not just India alone. The whole world is going to be, if a recession comes in the US, it is going to hit across everyone. So, relatively, growth, how it happens, what happens, is also need to be seen. But yes, certainly the long term, targeting will get affected by this sudden move.
Fine, sir. Thank you very much. Pleasure talking to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.